All right, I think we're ready. We're all set.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Inspire Together. I am your host, Shah Hayes, and to the right or left of me, whichever way you're looking, is our founder and co-host, Kiana Tennant. We are honored to have here with us today Dr. Roger Mitchell Jr. He's a forensic pathologist who has served as the chief medical examiner of the nation capital. And for those who don't know what the nation capital is, that's Washington, D.C. He's one of only 4 Black chief medical examiners of a major city. And he is an expert in violence and public health issues and has recently appeared on MSNBC with Morning Joe and CBS Sunday Morning. And he is an advocate for federal funding for firearm violence prevention and research. Along with his other resume of amazing things that he's doing in his work, he's also a minister. And we would love to, have this time and honor to have you here with us so we can learn more about your journey and the contributions you are making. So welcome, Dr. Mitchell.
No, my pleasure. It's great to be here.
Hi,
Good to see you guys.
Thank you so much for
Absolutely
being part of our Inspire platform. We are honored to have you here today.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Much from you.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited about what you guys are doing, and just the term inspire makes me excited. So I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about tonight.
I love it. So we're going to just jump right in. When did you know you wanted to get into the medical field? You became a doctor.
I knew from a very young age. My grandfather was a physician in the 1930s. He graduated Howard Med School in 1932. And I grew up in Jersey. We were just talking about Jersey before we went live. I grew up in Jersey. My mother's from Atlantic City. My dad's from Elizabeth. And my grandfather was one of the first Black physicians in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. And so I grew up hearing stories about him taking pies and cakes and him being a black bag doctor. And they used to stop me and my mother on the street and, say, "You're Dr. Marshall's grandson," So I grew up kind of influenced by him. And so I knew I wanted to be a doctor because of how influential he was in my life.
So you said this is a passion, knowing that you've had this lineage in your family.
Yeah.
So share, I guess, to us the journey. Once after you learned and it was kind of embedded in you that you wanted to be there, when was it in terms of you schooling wise? How did that start for you?
So, excuse me. I, like everybody else, thought I wanted to be a doctor kind of early. I wanted to go to Howard University because that's where my grandfather went. So I went there for undergrad. And while I was there, did all that I needed to do to be a pre-med student, worked multiple jobs, did some research. And then while I was there, I realized I didn't want to go in the medical school anymore.
Oh, wow.
So imagine that, right? So did all that, then got to the end and said, I don't want to do it. And I wanted to do something different. And that's when I got introduced to forensics. And so it was during the O.J. Simpson trial. I was watching the O.J. Simpson trial like everybody was at that particular time in the mid-90s, watching what was going on with O.J. And forensics really made its emergence in the O.J. trial.
Yes, it is.
And I was doing some research at the time at Howard and, doing DNA research similar to what was going on at the OJ trial with the DNA evidence, and made a decision that I wanted to go into forensics and applied all the way up and down the Eastern Seaboard to get into forensic science and had the great opportunity to get into the FBI. So I was an FBI forensic scientist as kind of the beginning of my journey towards medicine.
That's amazing. So when you were saying at that pivotal point in your life and you realize I don't want to do this in terms of a medical doctor, and so watching that on television, you see that for yourself and you're like, that's something I can get behind. So was it something in terms of the transition of the education that you got from the degree time or the time you was at Howard? Did it transfer or did you have to restart all over in classes?
No. I was a biology major, and a chemistry minor. So I was already doing bench science. And
Okay.
so it was translated. The thing about it is that they told me that I would have to become an FBI, a police officer first.
Oh,
Oh,
In
okay.
most places, they wouldn't let you just come in and go into the forensic science side of the house. You had to become a law enforcement officer first and then go into forensics. And I really wasn't, I didn't want to run after people that looked like me. You feel me?
Right.
Like that's not, I
Yeah.
didn't sign up for that.
Yes.
So I was looking for an opportunity to go into directly into the science. And the FBI was a place where they were moving agents out of the laboratory and bringing scientists in. And,
Mm-hmm.
you make a point, you say, I kind of made this decision not to go into medical school directly. And I saw things on TV and that's really a testament to your audience where, sometimes you think things are unreachable and unattainable.
Mm-hmm.
Some things that you see, you may not think you can do, but I'm here to say is that if you can think it and you can see it,
Yes.
you can do it, right? And so I think it's important for us just as people to understand that there's no limit to
Mm-hmm.
what we're able to accomplish. It really is, the limitation is what we're exposed to. And that's why it's
Yes.
so important for our young people to be exposed to as much as possible. And quite frankly, us, right? We sometimes put limits on ourselves. We put
Absolutely.
ourselves in a box. Someone told y'all, how dare y'all go on Facebook and decide y'all want to have your own podcast? Like people were hating, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you made a decision to say, listen, we're gonna do it. We're gonna
Yes.
get out here and we're gonna inspire people. And so I had that moment where I said, I didn't want to just go down the path that I was going. I wanted to do something different, and that was earlier in my career.
wow. So along your journey, did you have a mentor that helped guide you through this journey, or anyone particular that you can remember, or even now that
Yeah, I cling. I have many mentors, right? And we all should have many, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
have a mentor that, mentors me on fatherhood and manhood. I
Mm-hmm.
have a mentor who mentors me on my spiritual walk and my relationship with God. I have a mentor who mentors me on some of the professional aspects of my life, both in forensics and just medicine in general. I have a mentor surrounding navigating my finances.
Yeah.
And that mentor is my same age, one of my good brothers, Cheo Hurley. I look to him when I'm trying to make financial decisions, or Umar Abdul Burbil, who makes really good financial decisions. And so, it's about surrounding yourself with people, right? People that you love and love you, that have your best interests and are honest to tell you when they don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and honest enough to tell you when you're going in the wrong direction. So many mentors. Shoot, we were just talking about my kids, man. My kids, I learned things from them,
Yeah.
and waiting for them to be in a mentor mentee relationship with me. Right now I mentor them, but just excited about who they're going to be so that I can learn from them. So yeah, I've had a lot of people that have kind of helped me along the way. And that relationship, when you're talking about mentorship, you have to be willing to have that relationship with people. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
humble enough to ask for help, and I think that's important.
Can you
Yeah.
give us maybe some advice that they've given you that you can share with others?
You
Um,
know,
that might be.
yeah, I got, we got some good stuff. One thing, like my mom. So I was raised. I have a single mom, raised by a single mother, and my mom, she's just dope, right? So she's one of my best friends, and I remember when I was going to college, we were in the car about to unload unload the car, and she said to me, she said, Roger, if you place your expectations on other people, you're always going to be disappointed.
Mm.
So that that keeps me from placing undue expectations on people.
Yeah.
And allow for people to show up however they're showing up. And allows me to show up the way I need to show up. I had another mentor, a good friend of mine. I was dealing with some failures in my life. I failed a couple tests, big exams, early in my education, and was woe is me, just head in my hands, just so upset. And a good brother said to me, he said, "How many mountains have you climbed to get here?" And I said, "Climbed a lot of mountains." He said, "So if you stop right now and cry at the bottom of this one and don't climb this one, then all the other ones that you climbed are worthless." And so that has stuck with me. Another good one for relationships, my godfather who helped raise me. My father was addicted to cocaine for most of my childhood. So I cling to a lot of different kind of sources of examples of manhood, at least that I could see and peer through the window and get some semblance of what that looks like. But my godfather, who was a neighbor, took me in and really helped raise me with his family. And I remember I was just married. I've been married 18 years now.
Congratulations.
Know my wife for 28 years. That's my ace. So we had just gotten married, first year of marriage, man. And I felt like I had to check in every 5 minutes. Like I felt like I had to pick up, and I was mad. Like, what? Blah, blah. I'm out here. She gotta. And he said to me, he said, "Listen, that's all she wants you to do is call her."
Right.
He said, "What you want, a woman that don't want you to call her?" I said, "Wow." I said, "You were supposed to be on my side." And he said, "Man, call your woman." Now, 18 years later, I'm calling. She's like, "Why are you always calling me? You don't need to call me so much." Right. So now, it's part of who I am. But there's a lot. I've learned, nothing that I have has come in a vacuum. It's all come through experiences and relationships.
That's so great. So with everything that you have and the many hats that you wear in your job and profession, what is the most exciting part about your jobs, the different parts of it?
That would be a different answer in different times of my life. Early when I was, at the FBI, I was, one of the first Black men in FBI laboratories. So it was exciting to be there. And then when I went to med school, I finally got into med school, and I was excited about that. And that was a great time. And then I got married, and I had my first child, and then my second child, but right now it's the gospel. Right now it's my relationship and the ability to articulate how we as people can be liberated from the slavery of the world, you know what I mean? And really having good conversations about how we can be our best selves regardless of what's happening around us. Yes. And ministering to people and encouraging people to be their best. That's what I'm excited about. That's, the medical examiner, the medicine, we do a lot of good work. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Listen, you are a man of a profession that needs to take calls.
That's all right. No, I don't got to take that. But I mean, that right now, that's the most exciting thing that I have going on. Y'all sent me the little flyer that you put on Facebook, and I text back, "Can you put the Minister of the Gospel on there?"
Oh, that's awesome.
Because that to me is the most important title that I have.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's what I'm most excited about right now.
Well, as a man who as being known as the first, you are the shoulders to which others may have to stand on.
Sure.
How do you think and take that in and conceptualize that for yourself, knowing that there are others who look at you as an example?
Well, I think, being a Black man in this country, um, you you better think like that regardless of whether or not you're the first or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have an obligation to operate for community and operate as if what you do helps or disparages the people that come behind you, and shows respect for the people that have come before you. So I'm inextricably linked to my past and the future. So that's a burden, and a weight that we have to carry as people of color in this country, and in this world, quite frankly. So I try to carry it the best I can. Sometimes it gets heavy, right? If I'm honest, sometimes I cry and lament. Sometimes I have to sit on the edge of my bed and take deep breaths before I get out of it. But at the end of the day, it's nothing more than what men and women had to endure before me. Quite frankly, it's probably less than some have had to endure before me. So yeah, I relish in the thought that I could be of any help to anybody doing anything. I find it as an opportunity, and it's humbling to be a part of anybody's growth. So we mentor, we support, we make ourselves available, both our time and our talents and our treasure. And that's because that's what we're supposed to do.
Wow. So as a person who's been in the field that's had to deal with performing thousands of autopsies on bodies, what was your first experience like walking into a room knowing you had to do that to someone's loved one or family member? How was that moment?
Really good question. It's been some time since it was the first time. If I'm honest, the opportunity to be in the space was humbling for me, but I was excited. I was a second year medical student, and after my second year, I took a year off, and worked at NYU in their department of pathology. And so I did my first year of residency. How it works is you do med school, then you do residency, and then you do a fellowship. In that order. After my second year of med school, I did a year of residency and then came back to med school. So I did some things out of order because I wanted to get experience. And so my first autopsy, being in my first autopsy, was while I was in medical school. And I had some really good teachers and they taught well. And that was a hospital autopsy. I think that, the forensic autopsy is so sudden, such a sudden loss for anyone who their loved one has to undergo a forensic autopsy, because a forensic autopsy is, those people that are dying from accidents, homicides, suicides. Those are sudden natural deaths, heart attacks, things like that. And so it's so hard because most of the time families, that person was there one day and is gone the next. And so dealing with those families and still working with those families can be difficult because of the grieving process. So what I understood early is the respect in the grieving process. What I understood early and still understand now is how important it is to respect the families and their loss, no matter how they show up, making sure that you're there to support them.
And can you go into that? Because that's something that even myself being an officer, not even knowing the full breadth of the differences in terms of being a medical examiner. When you say forensic medical examiner, there's that part of it, but then were there others so that people who are watching this, who may even be interested in this field, could know the variations of what the profession involves in terms of you wanting to be a medical examiner?
Sure. So I'm a physician like anybody else, went to med school. And then after med school, you subspecialize. So some people go to surgery, some people go into OBGYN, pediatrics, family medicine. I went into pathology. And pathology at its core is the ability to diagnose disease. So when a surgery happens and a tumor is removed, that tumor piece of tissue goes to pathology. And then there's physicians in the pathology department that look at that piece of tissue underneath the microscope and give a diagnosis. And so, and that diagnosis is given to the surgeon, and then that surgeon gives it to the patient, right? And so I'm that type of pathologist. I'm a surgical pathologist. After 4 years of learning how to be a surgical pathologist, then I did a fellowship. Now, some people do fellowships and they learn how to be a better tumor pathologist for breast, because there's breast tumors, better tumor pathologist for prostate. Some pathologists go into soft tissue or bone pathology, because these are the disease processes that happen in the human body. I became a forensic pathologist who looks at why and how people die. And so I specialize in why and how people die. And so there was a time, and there still is, where I diagnose disease, but I mostly determine when people and how people are dying and under what circumstance. Now, as the chief, I'm managing budgets and hiring people, and doing corporate managerial work mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you go into that portion of now you're the manager and things, are you hiring people who have tracked the same steps you are in terms of bringing them in on that side? So what are the things you look for? Is it education the only component when it comes to going into a field like this?
No, just like any field, you want to know that someone fits in the culture. You want to know that they have a similar work ethic. You want to know that they have, for me, I like people that are compassionate for community. I think that's important. Then there's the academic side. You want them to publish and to write papers and to teach, because we teach residents and medical students. So all of that goes, and that's just the physician side, but we hire technicians, we hire administrators, we hire toxicologists that are in the laboratory. So at our office, we have about 100 people that we employ. So so there's more than just the doctors. The doctor's only a small part of the operation.
So what's one piece of practical advice that you would give someone who's entering this field?
A lot of people are interested in the field. When we were coming up, there was no CSI. So I was in the field before there was CSI. Then there was CSI Las Vegas, CSI Miami, all that. I was before all that. But because of those TV shows, there is an interest in forensics. And so I have a group of young budding forensic pathologists that are at Howard that I mentor. And, the big thing about any field, I believe, is for you to be well-rounded, for you to enjoy your experience, to enjoy your maturation in the field. Obviously, you have to do well in the sciences and the mathematics, and obviously that's important. You got to get into med school, and so there's particular grades and all that. All of that is dogmatic. You got to get good grades if you're going to be a physician. But it's the other things. I think the best forensic pathologists are well-rounded and have real experiences. So I'm from where I'm from. I hang out where I've hung out, before God got a hold of me. I've seen some things and done some things. all of those things have been helpful in forensic medicine because I've been able to lean into my own personal experiences and my relationships and what I've seen that influences how I see the evidence that comes before me. So be well-rounded, be balanced, make sure that you're taking time out for your family and your hobbies. That's important. And that's important not just for forensic people going into forensics, but also for anybody. You know, we grind so hard that we forget to take care of ourselves, and it's important to take care of ourselves.
Indeed.
So what is the misconceptions people have about this field?
That it's you know, that it's a guy eating a sandwich with, you know, mustard on his shirt, you know,
like
smoking a cigarette, you know, with his hair all crazy, and, you know, over a body, dropping jelly, you know, from his jelly donut. You know, that's the misconception. We, at the end of the day, in most jurisdictions, we're a professional bunch. We think of this as surgery. It's medicine, and we operate like you would, you know, like you would expect in an operating room. That's how we operate. You know, people are gowned up and people are respectful, and you know, it's true medicine being performed. So people can't just come and go in the middle of the night and check bodies and do all that. We're locked down. We got high security. So I think that's the misconception, is that it's willy-nilly. Now, parts of this country are willy-nilly, to be honest. But here in DC, we're not.
So what's a typical day, a work day for someone in this field? Just so, you know, anyone who's aspiring to become, you know.
Sure. I mean, listen, you know, I think most days start off with, you know, you're reviewing your cases, and then you're really in the exam room most of the day. For me, I get a lot of calls in the middle of the night for things that are happening in the city that the office is responding to, so that I'm aware. Sometimes I respond to those sometimes I respond to those death scenes as well. And so those happen in the middle of the night or during the day. And then the examinations are occurring most of the day. And then after that, then it's paperwork, just like, you know, like I said, in general medicine. So you're doing your examinations, and then you have to do your charts. So that's the day. And then some days you got to go to court and, you know, be an expert in a court of law. Right now, COVID has shut court down mostly, but that is also part of the work. And then teaching residents and medical students, like I said, we have three residents rotating through the office right now.
So you mentioned COVID. So with that happening, are you performing a lot of tests on individuals that are coming through your office, like testing to figure out what is it, how to cure it? Does all that happen too in your office?
Yeah, I mean, we've handled all of the COVID related deaths in the District of Columbia. We've handled all of them, have come through our office, and primarily to support the families. So anytime there's a mass fatality, we perform the fatality management for the city. So that's what we've done, and making sure that those families have closure. Sometimes we have to test in our office, and then other times the test has happened in the hospital. But the goal is to make sure that the families get the type of support that they need during this time.
It's so amazing. It just made me realize again that you're in DC. I was on my way to the airport coming to Atlanta, and it was driving through with RFK Stadium. I don't know if you've driven past there, but the stadium.
I don't live too far from RFK Stadium.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And have you seen the flags that the woman has placed in front of the armory?
Yeah.
That represents. It's like, it was so jarring to see, because you hear the number and you know it's over 200,000, but seeing the representation of these flags as someone individual, it was overwhelming to see that, like the significance that every one of those represented a person's life. Like how, I mean, even seeing something like this, and a lot of it is some, now we're getting to a state where people kind of getting a little laxed. What are your thoughts in terms of where we are with the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, really good question. I think you being able to see those flags of the over 200 Americans that have died from COVID, I think you can't, it's not a joke. Like it's not even a game. For a while, our community was acting like we couldn't get it. It was crazy. Like, and still not wearing masks. It's easy to get, but it's easy not to get too.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, so it's easy not to get it if you're wearing masks, if you're making sure that you're keeping hand hygiene the way you're supposed to keep it, if you're staying 6 feet apart, if you're not gathering in large groups, if you're traveling, you're getting tested on a regular basis. When you're exposed, you put yourself away for 10 to 14 days until you don't have it anymore. These are the types of things that keeps our grandmothers safe.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like we lost one of our brothers who's my age. We're losing. I mean, I would be surprised if you two don't know somebody that has lost somebody, if you haven't lost somebody yourself, right? And so it's not a game. It's not to be played with. And you can get out and about and live a life and still be safe. I go to work pretty much every day. I wear a mask. I wash my hands. I don't get close to people that I don't know. I do elbow bumps and fist bumps. You know what I'm saying? At some point we was doing the kid and play kick step. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that we didn't get it, right? So, the word is that it's getting worse. We know that in some parts of the country it is getting worse. So you just really have to be careful. I have Thanksgiving every year. I love Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday. Right? I used to eat. Man, listen. I used to do the fried turkey. I don't do
it, or you get someone to do it?
No, I do it.
Okay.
I do it. Yeah. But now I smoke the turkey now, right? Okay. So it's better and less grease. So I really get excited about being on my grill and cooking for people. It's a thing, right? So I feel a certain way that I can't have the 35, 40 people that I would stuff into my little house on Thanksgiving. But I am going to have some people, right? And so I've told them, I sent out a text message and I said to them, there's a couple of ways that you can come. You can quarantine for 10 days prior to you coming. That means that you're not going out. And if you do go to the grocery store, you're wearing your mask, you're minimizing your movement. Or you can get a test 72 hours before you come, right? And then when you get here, I'm taking temperatures.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what we are now.
And we're wearing masks in the house. I'm going to have a little tent off the back. It's going to be a little cold, but if you want to go out there, you got to wear your mask when you're not eating. Mm-hmm. But if you want to come and kick it, watch football and eat turkey. And then I also said, you cannot, if you're going to get something, it has to be sealed and grocery bought. Don't go have somebody else make your food. And if you make your food, you can't make it sick. If you're sick, don't cook. And if you're sick, don't come. I put it all in a text message. Why? Because my mother's coming.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it comes down to.
And my mother's coming. So if my mother's coming and my mother-in-law's coming, then everybody's got to do what I'm asking them to do, or don't come. I'll see you next Thanksgiving when we don't have a pandemic, and then y'all can come and have your mask off and no masks at all, right? But if you're going to come this year, you got to do that. And those are the types of things that we have to insist upon if we're going to stay healthy.
So talk about your role as a deputy mayor of public safety and justice, as well as your, being a minister of gospel, and how, being a minister of gospel allows you to kind of form your relationship out in the public with people.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's an astute, I think, combination in that question. I think that inherently, because I'm a minister, I connect with community and have connected with community. I've been in community as the chief medical examiner. I think part of why the mayor thought it prudent for me to step into this role for the interim is because I have, some connection with community and make myself available to community as I have since I've been here. So I think it's a natural fit. I never thought that I would be a deputy mayor, let alone a deputy mayor of public safety in a time where there's a racial reckoning and a time where there's such an emphasis on police conduct, and a time when we need to ensure that that there's equity in law enforcement. I never thought that I would be in this position at this time. Right now, my goal is to try to support the city the best that I can in developing violence prevention related activities, because we see a lot of homicides in this city.
And you are part of as far as creating awareness about firearms, and a lot of that has been a debate about people being able to still exercise their amendment rights, and how in terms of that, and people saying, well, you can't take this away from me because it's my constitutional right to do so. How is the balance of educating people about the importance of fire safety, as well as allowing people to understand that no one's trying to take away your rights?
I mean, that's really good too. I mean, because I think the way you formulated that question takes into consideration that we all do have a right in this country to bear arms and have firearms, but it's so important to keep it safe, and it's so important for it to be legal. Right now, we have a lot of illegal firearms that are entering in the city. Our firearm issue is not the legal firearm issue in urban smoldering gun violence. It is the illegal firearm issue. And so we have some states that it's, you can buy as many guns as you want, and there's no background checks. And then those guns find themselves into communities that are disenfranchised and disinherited. And are used to resolve conflict. And then there's guns that are called ghost guns that people are making in their homes.
I've heard that. That's so crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, so really, good common sense gun reform is extremely important. I'm a gun owner. I have weapons. And so it's important to keep them safe and put them in, make sure that they're in the safe, and make sure that they're locked up and away from your children or people that are not supposed to be able to get to them. But at the same time, illegal guns getting into our community, we really should have no tolerance for illegal guns in our community. It's killing our people.
You have children and they're teenage age, and I know a lot that's going on around us. How do you explain to them, especially the importance of their voices? They'll come of age when they'll have to vote. What do you tell them about some of the challenges, just as a country, as a community that is ahead of them, to try to kind of arm them a little bit?
Yeah, we constantly have conversations. We're up watching, the presidential returns, and they have their own opinions about what they think about Trump and what they think about Biden, and I encourage them. My daughter is a poet, and she has written a lot of great poetry surrounding violence against women and violence in general, and the African American experience. My son my oldest is an actor and has, decided to focus in on kind of Black focus genre in his acting, and then my youngest is draws and has his thoughts about white supremacy and the importance of freedom. So I articulate my political views and my spiritual views to my children. My children know who I am and what I think, and know what their mother thinks. And we talk about it and openly, and we challenge each other. And I think that's extremely important. But I teach freedom in my house. You know, I really do. I teach freedom in my house. Our point of reference is not a majority white world. Our point of reference is our historical legacy of excellence that's within our community, and that helps us not have to live and express ourselves like victims. So we express ourselves as who we are, as free human beings, and so that's what we talk about a lot here in my house.
So technology, you know, has advanced. Like years ago, before DNA was ever being used in cases and all that, things are going so into a different direction. How does technology help advancement of forensic science and pathology? I mean, as more we know and grow in technology.
Well, technology is extremely important in medicine, in, you know, forensics, and we need it, you know, right now, when we're talking about cures or treatment for cancer, we're talking about individual persons' tumors that that we understand the genetics of that tumor, and then focus in on how we can cure that person. And that becomes extremely important. So, you know, technology advanced a lot within the last, 20 years. In forensics, we've kind of hit a point where we understand some of the limitations of the science. And I think it's important for us to understand the limitations of the science, but also understand that, you know, just in general, I think the human thought really hasn't scratched the surface on what we can create as it relates to technology. And you know, we have to be careful, because as we you know, are able to tap into our own ability to create, there's a level of we have to be responsible. There's a level of responsibility that comes with that creation of technology.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a question that came in.
Oh, good.
Audience.
Oh.
So the question is, at what age or year in college did you know you wanted to major in pathology?
I didn't. I was out of college when I wanted to be a pathologist. So I was already out, and I was working at the FBI. So I guess I was 22, 23, and I was exposed to the medical examiner while I was a forensic scientist here at the headquarters at the FBI, and I was exposed to the DC medical examiner at 22 years old. I met the chief medical examiner of DC at 22 years old, and I was like, wow, I want to be a medical examiner. So, yeah, that was 24 years ago.
So what's one thing that you've learned about yourself through this journey?
One thing, I mean,
well, you can more than one, we'll take it.
You got another hour.
No, I mean, goodness, I like to be, one thing that I've learned is that I'm nothing without my God. I know that. I've learned that. I know that's a bit tongue in cheek. I also learned to guard against vanity. I learned that, you know, you're not what people say you are, good or bad. Oh, that's good. I can preach that. I think, you know, I ask for God for speak words when I'm in these situations, and he gave me that. That's important. I think I've learned that you're not what people say you are, good or bad. Because if you believe what they say about you, good or bad, then you won't know who you are. So So I think that's probably the most important thing, particularly the success I've had in being a leader for my family. You know, there's you get invited on podcasts on Facebook, right? And so you can't believe what people say about you, because you might actually think it's you and not him.
So as someone who is an active person in the community, everything that has gone on within the, the racial uprising in the country, a lot of things people have wondered, like, what can I do? Like, what part can I play in starting out to be activism and what that looks like? What advice would you give somebody who just doesn't know where to get started?
Well, that's good. I mean, be yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're not a mentor and you don't have patience to mentor young people, don't go be a mentor, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to do more damage than good, right? But if you are a mentor, please, we need mentors. Mm-hmm. I would say that I would say that you have the time that you think you don't, mm-hmm. right? So, everybody says, oh, I wish I had more time. No, you got time. You got time. You got time. You just choose to use it and choose to use it a different way, but you have time. You just have to make decisions on how you're going to use your time. And I'm not in community every day. I have a family. There's 5 of us in this house. I have 2 jobs and, and a minister and, so you have to choose what you're going to do. And, one of the things that I'm learning is that, I want to use my voice. And so that's really what I would say to anybody. Use your voice. And that may look different to it might not be on Facebook, with a podcast. It might be writing a letter. It might be writing a poem. It might be, calling your grandmother. Like your activism really needs to be natural for it to grow. If it's forced and you think your brand of support for the movement of our people has to look like everybody else's, then you're wrong. It really just needs to look like you, because we're all made individually as ones to come together as a whole, and we need each and everyone's unique perspective.
Yes.
To move things forward. So don't imitate, imagine. And if you can imagine and it's coming from you, that's what we need. And it depends on what your cause is. Not everybody's cause is the Black Lives Matter movement, and getting out there with that. It may be, LGBTQ related issues. It may be, financial freedom.
Yeah.
My little commercial. My sister just started a company that does credit reform, called Turbo Credit, because she's just had such a great experience changing her own credit and increasing her credit score by like 100 points. And she's like, I want to help other people do that. Well, that's revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? That's revolutionary when you can, help people arm their finances so that they can buy a home or buy a car. And now they're more self-sufficient and they're more economically sound. So everybody just needs to play their part. But let me tell you this. This is not you can't be on the sideline.
Yes. It's not
no. Like everybody's got to be in the game. Like you can't be on the sideline. This is not a spectator sport.
No.
You got to get in the game. You got to get in the game. You have to play your position. And you know. So even the ones that are not in the game, you better be cheering. You better have a Gatorade. Like, you better be the water boy.
Yes.
Like everybody's got to play a position. You don't get to just chill and eat popcorn while everybody out here sweating and trying to make it right for our people. That's not an option.
Or you can't be one complaining about why things haven't changed, because if you haven't played a part to find your voice into what this whole thing is about, because this is what changes the dynamic of it just being a moment and it going on forever, because this is a lot that has to go into the change that's happening. What's happening right now in our country with the election tells you what the picture of this country looks like. So if you're not going to be the voice that's going to make a difference, like you said, it could be financial empowerment, just educating people on that, because that's one of the disparities in our community in itself. People not being educated about financial wealth and growth. Like, I was just having a conversation about investments, and there's a lot of people that are uninformed about how to even get started in investment. Everything doesn't have to be a building or a business, you know, actually having something that's going to create wealth for your family. And I think that's one of the things that, as a community, if we even came together, and that activism doesn't always have to be about marching in the streets, you know, educating each other on that, those little levels of things makes a difference. So I applaud your sister and what she's doing, and I would love to plug her so we can know, for those who are looking for that, we can let them know that she's a person they can reach out to.
Absolutely. I'll make sure you have that. And it's a both and. I mean, we need to, you know, agitate and activate, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a both and, right? And so but nobody's coming, right? Yeah. Nobody's riding in on a pale white horse to save not coming. Our community. No one's coming. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's so important for us to understand that we are who we're waiting for. We're the change. Yes. We're the people. So and you know, we don't spend enough time with our own people. We just don't. We spend more time, you know, on Instagram than we do in community, you know,
and lifting up each other,
you know, and it's so important, because really community just wants to see, they just want to see us. We want to see them. So important, you know, everybody's got to get in the game, you know, and do their part. And then don't take no crap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then don't take no crap, you know, and it's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy.
So is the field that you've gone in and the many hats that you've worn, and you wasn't just a diversity pick, your skill had to get you where you are.
I was a diversity pick too. Let me be clear. No, because people think that affirmative action was bad. Like, we need affirmative action back. I was affirmative act. I was part of a quota that got into the FBI.
Okay.
I was part of a quota. They were like, yo, we gotta hire a black man.
Mm.
Now I was qualified.
Yeah.
But there was 200 applicants for 3 positions.
Mm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Med school. There was, when I was coming up through med school in the late 90s, there was still affirmative action. They were like, yo, we got to have a diverse pool of a first year class.
Which meant one person, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was 3 of us, but if there wasn't a mandate,
right,
then would I've gotten in? I had average scores. Yeah, I would have made a way to get in. Yeah, I'd like to think that. But I'm telling you, man, I don't put my nose down on the diversity pick. And the reason why is because if we've made it to the point to get picked, guess what? We're rocking.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We've crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's if we've gotten to the point to even be on the slate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so, but go ahead and finish your question. I just wanted to point that out.
I was just going to say, so that leads me to the question of, like, once you've gotten there, however you got there, diversity pick or not, what are some of the attributes that you need to obtain and hold to be successful? So when they see you, they're not looking at you like, oh, that's that number. What are some of the things that they look at and you need to have so people will know that you're not just that?
Well, well, I never felt like I had to prove that I was not just a diversity pick.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of confidence that all leaders have to have about who they are, and and being comfortable in your own skin. I've learned that hard work is the great equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never really been the smartest person in the room per se, because I have such a diversity of interest. And if I had to focus on one thing, I would be bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to focus on multiple things to be good at everything. So I'm made that way. Back nowadays, they might call it ADHD.
He was inquisitive.
Yeah. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I was just telling this story. The teacher couldn't get a word out. I had questions. I had questions because I had read with the assignment, and I had questions, and he wasn't answering my questions. So by half day, I was in the class that ate crackers and colored in 5th grade at half day. And I remember after like 2 weeks of it, my mom said, "How was your day today?" I said, "Oh, after class, I went to X, Y, and Z, and we were able to color and eat crackers." She said, "What?" She said, I said, yeah. I was excited. I was like, yeah, it's a special class, right? And my mother was like, "What?" She took me. They had moved me into the special class for developmentally disabled individuals.
Wow.
Because they felt as though I was disruptive and I was asking too many questions.
Wow.
And so my mother said, "Absolutely not." And I had an advocate, right? It's so important to have advocates. And had me tested, and my IQ was like 123 or something like that. So on the higher range, they wanted to skip me 2 grades. And I say that to say is that you have to know who you are. So I've never been one to be an A student. I've been an A- B+ student because I was captain of the football team, and I was in the drama club, and I was in the political club, and so hard work for me is the greatest equalizer. So now that I'm in my professional world, hard work has always been what has risen to the top, that I'm willing to go the extra mile. I'm willing to do the extra work. When nobody else was willing to do something, I volunteered and said that I would do it, sometimes for no additional pay, even now for no additional pay.
Yeah.
Right. I step in and being asked to do what I'm being asked to do. So success really is about being comfortable in who you are and being willing to work hard. Like right now, I'm studying. Like I'm studying, right? So I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break from studying to talk to you all, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna study for another 4.5 hours because I'm in seminary for my Master of Divinity, right?
Amazing.
Because there's things that I want to do, that I've been called to do, that nobody's gonna get it for me. Nobody's gonna do it for me. Nobody's gonna make time for it for me. And so I gotta make time for it. I gotta grind. You in Jersey, Shaw, I'm from Jersey, man. You have to grind.
Yes, indeed.
When we grew up, hip hop taught us how to grind. Like hip hop helped raise me, right? So we have to grind, and that grind, you're not gonna ever be able to outwork me because I'm always on the grind. And that, if you couple that with an ability to serve in your leadership, right, and put people before yourself, then you will be successful. Because my grind is not about me. My grind is about the 4 of them upstairs, or the several that are in community, or my grind is for you, right? But my grind is not necessarily for me. And I think that that's important for success as well. is that you grind not for any personal endeavors necessarily. It comes with that. Your grind is for other people. And I think you're inherently going to be successful if you're grinding for other people.
That is so great. That is so great. And I was going to ask one of the things that you was telling me earlier about your journey in life and being raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
As a man, how did you become and understand your relationship of being a man and knowing that, you know, your mother can only be so much to you as a woman. She can't be the man in the relationship. How did you learn and have those values instilled in you to be a person where now a lot of times that becomes a challenge and roadblock because you got the education, you got the great job, how did that help you, or was that a deterring factor for you not having that role model in your life?
Well, you know, I was blessed to have multiple male role models. So although my father wasn't in my life, like I said, my next door neighbor, I saw in him what a faithful man looks like. He was strong in the church, and he, you know, was home every night and took us to football practice. And so I saw that. I saw my Uncle Joe, you know, every weekend during the summer, pulling out the grill and allowing all the kids to come and jump in his pool. And so he showed me how to be a provider. He gave me an example of being a provider. I had uncles, my Uncle Donald and my Uncle Byron, still married. They showed me how to be, you know, a husband, and a husband to Black women, right? Mm-hmm. And what that looks like and how you serve in that. I had pastors who showed me, you know, how important it is to have a relationship with God. And then I've always just wanted to understand myself, and the trauma that I was unpacking. And so, you know, manhood is an iterative process. Manhood is just like womanhood. It's an evolution of self. It's not a destination. It's a movement, for lack of better terms. It's so the man I am today is not the man I was yesterday, and won't be the man that I am tomorrow. If I'm lucky, right? If I'm lucky, I'll be better tomorrow than I was today. Like, I'll have more word in me, right? I'll have more patience for my children. I'll have more wisdom for my children. I'll have more love for my wife tomorrow than I even had today. And so I think the term is aspirational. So, you know, manhood and womanhood, it's aspirational. But you constantly need to be seeking it. Yes. And it has to be selfless, right? So, you know, and it's not based on principles that are other than what's in the book. Love your neighbor as you would love yourself, and put no God before me. Those two principles are the ones that guide my manhood, right? And then guarding against the trappings of the world. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you know, we're told in the world that manhood is about notches on your belt and money in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And that is the furthest from the truth. And when you're growing up without a father, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to believe what the world tells you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, with a strong a mother, you're going to believe what the world tells you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to say, this is what love looks like. So at the end of the day, you know, my experience, my journey into manhood is just that. It's a journey. And I'm not perfect, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I've, you know, make mistakes every single day. So I don't want, you know, Facebook, because my boys will get on Facebook and be like, please, you know what I mean? They'll type, you talking all that, you know what I mean? They might even pop up and try to make you put them on the TV, you know? So I'm not perfect, right? Yes. I just know the perfect word, right? So the perfect word comes out my mouth now, which is good because that's, to me, that's the only way I could really be a man, to be honest. If I wasn't a minister, I don't know how well of a man I would be.
And I only ask that question because for people who are watching this, coming from different backgrounds and having that in their life or not having that in their life, the depletion of having that person in their life sometimes makes them feel like they don't have the ambition or drive because they didn't have the depletion of that in their life. So I asked that because I wanted, our viewers to see how and through your journey, you were able to, build off of it, because it's not something you just like let go of, because it's still a part of who you are.
No, even today, I still have right now, I have a great relationship with my father now. He's one of my best friends, and he's been sober for years, and but he still don't call me on my birthday. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So still every Christmas that comes around, I think about how he stole my money from me every Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. To get high. Right. So, and I'm 46 years old.
Yeah.
Those are, I have broken parts of me, and the broken parts of me hurt when it rains.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the human experience. What people don't realize is the human experience is that we all have broken parts of us that hurt when it rains.
Oof, I don't know why that touched me so much, but it got me.
My eyes are watering. Yeah. You don't see it?
Yeah. And that's real, right? And but you just got to know where the broken parts of you are. You got to know that they're healed, right? You got to know that they're healed. Yeah. Even though they still hurt when they rain, doesn't mean that they're not healed. And we mistake the pain for brokenness, but it's not brokenness. It's just pain. Right. And so when you feel it, like I broke my hand, and I can feel it now when I make it move a certain way. It's not broken. I just know that it's there. And so, and it's the same thing I tell the brothers when I minister inside the jail. I said, we all have a dropped moment when we were supposed to be held and held close to the person who was supposed to be taking care of us, and they dropped us. And they might have meant to drop us, or they might have made a mistake to drop us. They might have not known any better or knew exactly what they was doing. Right. But we were dropped. And you know what I say to myself every day when I get in the mirror? I say, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I say it about 4 or 5 times. I'm brushing my teeth. I didn't do it. Because the work that I do, I could feel a lot of guilt for what I see every day. Right. But I tell myself I didn't do it. I could feel guilt and shame for what happened to me. Right. I tell myself I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And it's extremely important, because, the word tells us that too. There's for that no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So we don't have to feel condemned. We don't have to feel that way. And our brokenness, if we're willing to heal it, it can be healed, but that doesn't mean it has to go all the way away. And I think that's what we think that, I was supposed to be over it by now. Yeah. Some things you may not ever get over.
No.
Right? It will come back. That's how deep the brokenness is. But other things should go away. Other things should go away. I'm not still thinking about my 8th grade girlfriend that dumped me. Like I'm not still like that. There would be a problem if I was still thinking about, if I was still, you know what I'm saying? She took my fruit roll-ups and then bounced on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you been at? Like, you ain't called me in like 20 years. Like, no, there's something wrong with you then. You got to you got to do some deeper work, some counseling, right? Which is fine. It's a different thing.
Go ahead, Keith. You want to ask something? Or she muted?
I do. I want sorry, I'm all over the place. That just took me for a whirlwind.
Appreciate you.
Whew. You've done so much. What's on your bucket list? Do you have anything that you have yet you haven't checked off yet?
Yeah.
Or that's on
You know, that's really good. Right now, I'm in a
Mhm.
place in my life where I don't have my own agenda.
you?
Mm.
You know, I spent a lot of time wanting to get somewhere.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like wanting to, oh, one day I'm gonna be a doctor. Oh, one day you wait. One day I'm gonna have some money in my pocket. Like, you know, we grow up, we always got, you know, God is blessing, you know, and
Yes.
so I don't want for anything. You know, right now it's like I got these 3 upstairs. And man, I just want to see them be their best.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, my 3, I want to see them rock, you know, because that's going to be the legacy. Like just seeing what they do and what their kids do, you know. And then my wife, man, you know, my wife, man, I'm watching her grow. She's in nursing school and is finishing up
Awesome.
this semester in nursing school, and finding what she's going to be professionally. She's been supporting this family and supporting me for years, as a stay at home, and, you know, doing smaller jobs, but really just pouring into us, her children and her husband. And now I'm watching her do what she needs to do, and supporting her. So like that's, you know, wearing my shirt button to the top. Like that's, you know what I'm
And
saying?
calling your wife.
And calling my wife. I'm just keeping myself tightened up, you know, and being in this word, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's really it. And, you know, trying to serve and go where he tells me to go and talk to who he tells me to talk to. And then hopefully it ends up, you know, me on an island, 60 something years old with my feet up, you know, telling stories about how I used to do it. You know what I'm saying?
When I was your age.
Yeah, when I was your, you know, with some gray, it's a little bit more gray in my beard. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I want to be able to relax. I do. I want to be able to call it quits and not feel guilty about it. Right now, I would feel too guilty if I, you know, if I wasn't. I don't even feel like I've been really in the fight yet. And you know, even as much as people say that I've done, I feel like I'm just scratching the surface on how God is going to use me.
But although you said you're just scratching the surface, is there an achievement that you've had over the year that, you know, that it may not be a placard or a certificate or an award, but is it something that you have been able to say for yourself that you were proud of it, that you did that and accomplished it?
Wow. You know, I have trouble with that type of stuff, if I'm honest with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have trouble with that. I have trouble with that, especially in public. You know what I'm saying? Like in the privacy of my own room, I could talk about, oh, you did you see me? You know what I'm saying? Did you see what I did? You know.
Right.
But in public, you know, I just feel like, you know, it just.
But when you're talking to yourself in the mirror, is it a moment where even if it's just something you said, like how you said, oh, that was good how I said that.
Yeah.
Even if it's just the words of ministering to someone, has it ever been a moment that even from God speaking through you and to you to others, and you know, hopefully helping them, has it ever been that moment it felt that it was just through God that achievement felt good too as well?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, I'm tongue in cheek, but you know, I have the saying, I call it selfish selflessness. So you best believe I get something out of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm getting something out my sacrifice. Oh, that's good too. I like that too. That's good. No, but you know, I'm getting, you know, because to be honest, as you're feeding something in yourself when you're even working for other people.
Yeah.
Right? So absolutely. I'm getting something out of talking to y'all right now. I get something out of showing my kids that I can grind and study when they upstairs playing video games. Like I get something, you know, it's a selflessness. So absolutely I get something out of it, and I feel accomplished, You know, I took this medical examiner's office from, 200 case backlog, not meeting its key performance indicators, to probably one of the best medical examiners in the world. I lecture all over the world, in Belize and Bangladesh and in India and Egypt. I've been, I'm at the top of the field. I've had accolades, and plaques and certificates, and so there's no doubt that I feel every time, I make an accomplishment, I feel good about it. There's no doubt, because we run the race to win. We run the race to win. But then but what keeps me from, what my hesitancy is that my people are starving.
Yeah.
My people are hungry. My people have foots on their necks. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's white supremacy has placed itself at the center of the disenfranchisement of Black and brown people in this country. And so it's difficult for me to say that I've accomplished anything if we all haven't accomplished it as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my hesitancy comes from. And I feel guilty. I wrote a piece that I never published. I called it Survivor's Guilt. When I realized that George Floyd was 46 years old, and so am I. It's as if me and him used to watch He-Man together and eat Fruit Loops. Like we grew up together, listened to the same music, and we played football together. All the things that we grew up, listened to Rakim together. We got inspired together. We thought we was going to be great together, and he got took. Why didn't I? Why was I spared? You know what I'm saying? So it's deep. It's deep, this notion of being conscious and then patting myself on the back for these little things that people say I did. You know what I'm saying?
But I get that completely, because you're you don't have time to be boastful when there's work to still be done. I get that completely.
I mean, that's all. But let me tell you, I'm killing it. If you want to hear me say it.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm winning. There's no doubt I'm winning. You know what I mean? So, we're going to try to keep on winning, though.
So, Roger, what advice would you give your younger self?
I mean, don't waste time and don't waste money. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste time, don't waste money. And that you're big and you're not small. And that, you're okay. And what happened to you didn't have to happen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would tell myself a whole bunch of stuff, and that I tell myself now, because again, I always say that if we're honest, right, we're talking to our younger self all the time. That's really who we spend most time talking to.
Yeah.
Is that baby inside of us that wasn't treated right. And maybe that baby's not that young. Maybe that baby's, from last week that wasn't treated right. You know what I'm saying? We constantly are telling ourselves. And so either we're feeding that and we're saying, you deserve what happened to you, and you'll never be great, or you'll never be able to accomplish, and don't believe you can be successful, and be worried and scared and fearful of your future. And so we're giving ourselves negative self-talk. 70% of our self-talk is negative as a human experience. Yes. You have to be intentional to speak good over yourself. Most of the time, first thing you get in the mirror, you're like, daggone, my hair is daggone, I don't like, first thing you're doing is talking negative about yourself. And so if I were to talk to my younger self, I would just tell him, yo, you good, bro. Like, you're good. And stop wasting so much time and money trying to be something you're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I would have gave myself up to God a lot earlier had I known, like fully the way I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
Had I known, you know what I'm saying, what the truth was. So yeah, I would definitely, it's what I tell my 17-year-old. So I get to talk to my younger self. You know what I'm saying? I get to talk to my 17-year-old, my 15-year-old, and my 13-year-old, and I get to tell them, listen, don't be out here wilding.
Right.
I said, one day you're gonna know how bad your father was, and then I'm gonna be able to tell you the truth, you know.
So what is your prayer for this time, and what you want to see the healing come from all of this, or the growth for that matter? And what kind of words of advice would you give, you know, our youth seeing all this around us?
Well, you know, my prayer is, wow, you know, I pray all the time for freedom. I pray all the time for an ability for us to come together and realize the things that are most important. And it's not in things. What's most important is relationships. That's what's most important is love and feeling loved. And that is really, at the end of the day, where our deficit lies. Our deficit lies in the love that we are sharing. The real love that is not based on material items, but also, you know, praying for being complete and being whole. You know, we're, like we talked about before, man, so many of us are so broken. Yes. You know, and when you're broken, it's just hard to navigate. And so we have to fill each other's voids for each other. You know, and so that's the prayer that I have, is that we have the energy and the ability to be there for one another, and fill the void as much as we can for each other, and be selfless in that. You know, and advice in this time, I think it's, you know, I think that people are putting too much stock in what's going on.
Yeah.
I think they're putting too much stock in it. You know, I think they're putting too much stock in what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You know, I get it. I get the guy who's in the office now is just a nasty dude that talks real reckless. I get that. Okay. So we'll replace him with a guy that doesn't talk reckless. All right.
Right.
Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like I said before, like, no one's coming. So we got to do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gotta grind. Like, we got to make a choice and a decision. But that's and part of that is not, I don't want this to be mistaken to suggest that I'm saying that we have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. What I'm saying is, y'all fancy people, y'all the bootstraps. Y'all people that got money, y'all people that got education, y'all people that, you know, don't, that may be kind of from the hood, but not, but have moved so far away from your people, you don't even go into the hood, that you don't even talk, you don't even know nobody in the hood. Like, you're not spending time with the sisters and the brothers that really need you. Like, it's a call to action. Can't say nothing about what's going on in our community if you ain't in the community.
Yeah.
If the only way you know community is through the media that everybody else gets their media from. You know, somebody said to me, why everybody get upset on Black Lives Matter when police kill Black people, but they don't get mad when Black people kill Black people? I said, who don't get mad when Black people kill Black people?
Right.
I'm upset all the time about that, every day.
Exactly.
I'm grinding every day about that.
Mm-hmm.
So how dare you say that nobody cares about when Black people kill Black people?
Mm-hmm.
When everything that I do every day is about Black people killing Black people?
Mm-hmm.
All the equity work we're trying to do is surrounding that. How dare you say that? The reason why you say that, because you're not doing anything about Black people killing Black people.
That's a dismissive statement anyway. It's just
You know
the way
what
you
I'm saying?
dismiss
And
it.
it's
Yeah.